Welcome, and thank you for joining us for our first interview in the 2023-24 school year here with the RISE program. My name is Antonique, and I'm your host. We've got some fun things planned today. Before we hop onto today's interview, I want to ask you, have you ever heard of the RISE program? Do you know where it is? Do you know what it stands for? What does it mean? Don't fret, I'll be able to answer all those questions for you. Adaptive and resilient infrastructures driven by social equity. ARISE is a major investment in Kansas by the U.S. National Science Foundation established program to stimulate competitive research. Research for Kansans by Kansans. This statewide initiative seeks to advance the resilience of infrastructures that affects all Kansasans. Let's get started with our interview. Hi, Emma. Thank you for hanging out with me, taking some time to talk. How are you today?
Awesome. Really nice weather out today. It's kind of hot here compared to where I'm from, but it's nice.
I know. I almost think it's like kind of unusually hot right now.
I think it's unusually hot.
Yes.
I am hot.
Right? But I mean, I guess we could be okay for now.
Yeah.
So you are from Minnesota. You're kind of a ways away from home. Do you like Lawrence?
I like Lawrence. Like I said, it's kind of hot here for me personally. I'm wearing t-shirts and shorts every day until it's the middle of winter here. But I think it's a really cool town. I like that it's really small but really big at the same time. The town that I'm from is super, super small. And coming here and feeling like, oh, it's a really big town, but it feels as small as my hometown is really cool.
That's super cool. I'm glad that you're enjoying Lawrence at the moment. So I want to talk about ARISE and want to talk about your role with it. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you participate in the program and, you know, how you contribute and what your goals are?
Yeah, so I'm one of the graduate students on the program. We have a mix of professors, graduate students, and undergrad students working on the project. I am part of the drinking water division, and so there's a bunch of different divisions in ARISE. There's one for each facet of civil, so transportation, structural, wastewater, drinking water, electricity distribution, and then social sciences is another part of it. But I work in the drinking water division, and so I work with Dr. Hutchinson, and right now we are making models of cities in Kansas. And once we are finished with those models, we're going to test different pathogens through them to see how disinfectants in the water distribution system interact with those pathogens.
Is this something that's kind of new, or is this a project that you guys kind of came up together that was a focus? Like, how did you guys decide that this was the project at hand that needed to be focused on?
So the project is about a year old now, so I'm joining late, you could say. I wasn't part of the development of the project, but I know a lot of the professors that I'm working with right now developed it. And they wanted to kind of include social equity into engineering because a lot of times social equity isn't included in engineering, and a lot of my professors see a lot of value in putting those two things together. And I do as well, and I think it's really interesting that we're pretty much one of the first big teams to work on a project like this and try to figure out what is a quantifiable way to measure resilience and equity inside of engineering.
What's the day in the life of your role? Like, you know, how do you actively participate with the things that you do?
The big one is we have a lot of meetings. I'd say like 3 times a week we're getting together trying to talk about, because like I said, we're some of the first people trying to do an effort like this, and so a lot of it is brainstorming. How do we put these things together? How do we have a water distribution network and put that in with the transportation network or the electrical distribution network? And how can we quantify equity for all of those, because everyone is getting different distributions of that. But on a day-to-day, I will meet with my professor and we'll figure, okay, what is the goal for right now? And we'll look at it, and then we'll talk to, again, there's a bunch of different people on this project, and so we need to talk to 4 or 5 people to do one thing. So right now we're working on ArcGIS, which is a kind of like Google Earth, but there's a lot more tools in it. And so we have to talk to the people on the team that are really versed in that, get their opinion on how do we do this, and then we can do our part of it, and then we want to do a problem, and then we talk back to them. And so a lot of just collaborative road working, mapping kind of stuff. And so what I do usually is I don't have a traditional lab, and so I go in and I just have a computer that I work on. And so I'll go in, I'll do my modeling work until I run into a problem, and then it's talking to my undergrad students who are doing the same thing as me, seeing have they figured this out, have they run into the same problem, then going to my professor, do you know what's going on, and then kind of bringing it out to the ARISE team and saying, does anybody know how to do this? Someone has to, and moving forward. But right now, my daily work is trying to model the cities we're looking at. And so every day I go in and we're looking at, we have a pipe network. And there are pipes and there are connectors to the pipes. And so at the moment, we're kind of going in manually and like connecting all of these, and there's like 15,000 pipes in the system, so I'm sitting there connecting these pipes. But I'm also working on a literature review, and so I'm looking at how have resiliency and equity been used in engineering literature recently. And so I've been looking at 2008 till now, and how are those terms defined in the literature, how are they being used, what was the research specifically on, and how are those definitions and the way the research is going affecting real people's lives.
Let me ask you, what got you involved with water? Like, what made you passionate, and like, what made you choose to be part of the water aspect of Arise, or just even in engineering in general?
Like I said, like you said, I guess, I am from Minnesota, and so I've been surrounded by water a lot. My whole life, I lived like 50 feet from the lake, and so it's a really important resource in my life. It was a place, you know, I would go there for leisure. People are eating the fish there, and so it's like, okay, their livelihood is coming out of it. I sail on the lake, and so I feel like really connected to the lake when I'm sailing. And so when I came to Kansas, I was really looking for, in my degree, to learn a lot more about water infrastructure and the water side of civil. But I felt like when I was doing my undergrad that I didn't get as much of that as I wanted. So the civil undergrad is really broad. There's a lot of different facets of civil, and so I feel like I wasn't getting quite enough of that water that I wanted. And so then I started looking at grad school, because I knew that with grad school I could get more water out of that. And so I talked to all the professors that I knew, because a bunch of them are working on water. And eventually I settled on drinking water for Arise because I really like Dr. Hutchinson, and I also really like what we were specifically doing for the drinking water part of the project, which is looking at and modeling real cities and being able to give feedback to those people when we are done with it.
So you took basically your recreational activities and kind of found your passion through it while you were in the educational system.
Yeah.
I like that. And so how do you feel like the grad, like, I know that you feel like it's more hands-on and like focused on water, but do you recommend, like, you know, any student like who might be inquiring on graduate school like you to take it up? Like, how do you kind of suggest that they figure out if grad school is good for them?
I think that grad school will be good for everyone. There's so much more to learn beyond your undergrad degree. But the first step I would take is talk to professors that you're close with. The first professors that I talked to were ones that I wasn't considering working with, you know, as my structural professors or my statics and dynamics, my mathematics professors. And I wasn't intending to work with them, but I wanted to know how grad school worked, because I didn't know when I was applying what was going on. And so you talk to each of them, and then you kind of get to hear, a lot of it is you're going to join a project and you're going to work on that project for the duration of your degree. And so it's like, what do you want to do for the next 2 years? And so I talked to all of those professors, and you know, it's really important that you make connections with your professors when you're an undergrad, so that when you're talking to them about master's degrees, they're like, oh yes, I would love to have you on my team. And that was something that was really nice, because I was able to make connections in undergrad and have professors say, it'd be really awesome to have you on my team. Here's what we're working on, we have a spot, would you like to do it? And so talking to all of your professors, and you can hear about all of the spots, and then you can just pick one that suits what you want to do. And so, you know, there was a bunch of things that I could have done, but the one that sounded like I would enjoy myself the most during my grad degree was with Dr. Hutchinson and the drinking water.
What are some other things that you know, are there some still opportunities that you're finding that could make you more attracted to the Arise program, or like some opportunities that you just maybe haven't touched yet that you're excited about?
I'm excited that we're meeting so often in person. So this program is spread across a bunch of universities. And so sometimes it can be difficult over Zoom to kind of have a really productive discussion, because you're on Zoom, you're trying to like raise your hand in the little box and not try to talk over each other. But the Arise program really focuses on having a lot of in-person collaboration. And I'm really excited for that. There's going to be, I think actually 2 Tuesdays from now, we're having an in-person event. We're all going to meet together and be able to have that time to actually brainstorm together, which I think is really important. And I'm glad that the program is more of not just, okay, you're doing your part of the research and you're ignoring everybody else. I really like that it is everybody all together being able to come to their ideas, and as a whole we're kind of shaping the project instead of just having your little piece of it.
Alrighty, so one last question. If anybody was interested in getting involved or just wanted to know more about the Arise program, how would you suggest that they go about that?
What I would suggest is looking at our website. We have an Arise program website, but specifically to get involved as a student, I would look around for professors that are working on it. So I know at KU, Dr. Hutchinson, Dr. Sturm, Dr. Sutley are all really good resources to get involved in it. Because like I said, a lot of it is finding a spot on the program. I know that in drinking water and wastewater, we are looking for more students, but also I'm around those professors all day. I hear them talking about it. But I know that there are more spots open on the program, and it's a really, really nice program. I have other graduate student friends that are frustrated with their programs because they're not doing work, their professors don't communicate well, or maybe the professor just doesn't have something for them to do. But I always feel like I am doing something. I feel like I always have really impactful work to be doing, and I love, again, like I've said, that the program is so collaborative. There are so many people I can talk to. There's so many resources that I can get my hands on while I'm working on this project, and so I'd say this is a really, really nice project to be working on as a graduate student, and it has a really awesome goal of putting equity into engineering, and I think it's going to have really big impacts when it's done.
This event that's coming up, tell me a little bit more about what it's supposed to look like.
So this is the all-team science training, and so we're looking at being able to put skills into all our research. Myself, I started 2 or 3 months ago, and I don't know a whole lot about being a grad student or doing this kind of in-depth research. And so it's a moment that students and professors can learn from other professors and students. I'm not super sure of what the program is going to look like at this time, but we're all meeting together. It's going to be a moment for us to be able to talk together as a group in person and listen to other professors give talks on things. So last time we had a talk on data analysis, and that was something really interesting to me because I've never learned about data analysis before. And so that's what a lot of the Arise group meetings look like when we're in person. We'll have a professor talk about their specialty area, and we'll just have a lot of time for group collaboration, because that's what we really need, because again, talking over Zoom isn't quite as productive as talking in person, and it's really nice to have that chance to grind something out at the table. You all have your pens and paper out, and you've drawn something out, you've written it out, and maybe you can come to something that's like, okay, this is how we can implement this into the project.
Alrighty, that wraps up our first interview with Emma Russin, discussing what the Arise program is and finding her place within graduate school and on the team. If you are interested in learning more about Arise, check out our website at nsfepscor.ku.edu. Until next time, take care of yourselves.